So ever since I started this channel, I've never actually received an AMD card for review. I've never received the 460, 470, 480, or even the 5 series, and of course, I've never even received the Vega. And I've been always wondering why. Someone's at the door at this hour. This is an AMD card. The RX 560. Spoke too soon, I guess. But anyway, here's the RX 560. And this is how it looks. It has a single 90mm fan to get rid of all the heat from the little heatsink. The RX 560 is mainly catered towards users who are going for a smaller build. Its 155mm of width fits perfectly in any ITX case out there today. The card does come with everything you could expect from a budget GPU, DirectX support, Vulkan, and the Radeon Chill, which sort of dynamically adjusts the frame rate depending on the amount of load on the GPU, or in a simpler term, what's going on your display monitor. You get a single DVI, HDMI, and a DisplayPort, which means that you could go for 3 displays if that's even necessary. And before I forget, FreeSync. For those of you who are not so familiar with FreeSync, it's pretty much a G-Sync for AMD cards, which eliminates any form of screen tearing. Alright, so I'm going to keep this little review nice and short because after all, what we all want to see is some performance or benchmark. Alright, so first up we have the Deus Ex Mankind Divided, which was a recent game that I purchased during the Steam sale. Running Deus Ex Mankind at medium settings via the native benchmark tool, the RX 560 managed to pull through 59 frames per second on average. Personally, I didn't actually try playing Hitman because there were just too many cinematics and it was just working against time, but I guess based on the built-in benchmark tool, with everything set on medium, 65 frames per second on average goes to Hitman. Witcher 3 is still one of the most demanding games out there today. Even with my 1080 Ti, it still gets the occasional hiccup and stutter. All that horse riding and swashbuckling, Witcher 3 was still stutterly playable at 54 frames per second on average. Battlefield 1 is definitely quite a tough one to take down. The RX 560 performed decently on Battlefield 1, but given its demanding graphics and rendering, the RX 560 did stutter quite a little. But I guess if you were to set the graphics on low, you may just get away with some smooth multiplayer war games, 69 frames per second on average for Battlefield 1. GTA 5 was definitely beyond playable on the RX 560 with lower settings at 1080p. Now GTA 5 scored an average of 89 frames per second via their native benchmark tool. I'd like to think that given the fact that the GTA 5 sort of performs well on the RX 560, the card may just be a hit for GTA 5 fans. Finally, I ran Doom, which is supposed to run better on AMD cards due to its Vulkan support, but since I'm not actually here to compare the RX 560 with any cards in this video, so I gave Doom a shot. Doom managed to hit a constant 75 frames per second on average, but on 1080p with low to medium graphics settings. So the other thing that I wanted to add on is the plus side of FreeSync, is that it seems like a cheaper alternative for those who are up for a gaming monitor but can't actually afford a G-Sync monitor. There are tons of monitors out there today that offer FreeSync technology at a fraction of a G-Sync monitor's price, such as the ViewSonic XG2401. From my perspective, a person who rarely sees an AMD card on his desk or in his mailbox, and with very average knowledge on GPU architecture and technology, it does seem like AMD has sort of overinvested into the software like the Radeon Relive and their processors rather than sort of improving their hardware instead. Now, based on some benchmarks that I've seen lurking around, now even the Vega doesn't actually surpass the GTX 1070, but I guess, you know, this is just more like a personal opinion, and of course AMD fans would definitely hate me for saying this, but hey, it's just a personal observation. But it doesn't escape the fact that the RX 560 may just be AMD's sort of last shot to penetrate the entry-level market for their current generation of GPUs. Perhaps with more Vulkan optimized games such as Wolfenstein 2 and many other in the future, there may just be a massive shift of AMD GPU users. Anyway, that aside, there is of course an Nvidia alternative to the RX 560, which is the overclocked GTX 1050 Ti, which has 4GB of VRAM. Which sort of brings me to another point or assumption that the MSI RX 560 clocks a stock core speed at 1196 MHz, which is about 21 MHz more than the reference card itself, with a power draw of only 80 watts. Perhaps this means that the RX 560 would perform better if the GPU has a bit more power to completely utilize the amount of memory. But of course, there are other variables that we could factor in as well. The MSI Aero ITX RX 560 retails at 689 ringgit, and you can purchase them via the link in the description section below. So of course, the bigger question is, should you get this GPU? Well, it's a tough call, and personally, I'm not the person who should make the decision for you, of course. If you can reap the benefits of FreeSync and Vulkan, by all means, do it. Alright guys, that's all I have for this little video. Now I hope you found the video useful or review useful. I hope you found the benchmark sort of helpful in terms of sort of helping you decide which GPU you should get. But you see, here's one more thing I want to add on. I personally like the Relief Capture software or the feature. Somehow I feel that compared to the Shadowplay, I feel that the Relief Capture software doesn't actually drop your frames as much compared to Shadowplay. I may or may not do a comparison between Shadowplay and Relief Capture. That could be something quite trivial, but I will be doing a comparison between the RX 560 and the 1050 Ti 4GB probably by end of this year. Well, it's end of the year, so maybe earlier next year, if I can make it. Time is quite an issue right now, given the fact that it's Christmas and towards the end of the year. And of course, if you have any other questions, drop me a comment in the comment section. Give a big thumbs up if you like this video. Of course, if you've not subscribed, do it right now. And I hope to see you by end of the year. If I don't see you by end of the year, I'll see you next year, guys. Have a good one. Bye-bye.